Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Soumen Mondol. I'm a commercial property buyer's agent, and in this video I am going to share with you how business works. Because in order to invest into commercial property, you need to understand about business, because your tenant would be the business people. So if you understand business, then of course you'd be assess the tenant better and you would be able to see how it is making money through them and of course to you as the form of commercial rent. So if you want to know, then stick around. Alright, so let's start about business. The fundamental reason somebody comes into business want to do is to make profit, right? The business is profitable when it makes profit, right? So the first thing that we need to understand is that the business is not making profit, that business is not going to sustain for long term. So just like in your investment, you need cash flow. From the business point of view, they need cash flow as well. The business people needs cash flow in order to sustain, you want to make profit and want to have their own livelihood. Remember, most of the businesses in Australia, you will see like a mom and dad kind of business. So that means two people formed, particularly within family, they started their business, whether it's an accountancy business, whether it's a lawyer business, whether it's a shop, whether it's an office, whatever type of business it is, they generally like a family type of small businesses, right? So if you are into business, then perhaps you know the business, the primary thing is at the end of the year, you see how much money you made, how much cash flow. Now, from a business, in order to run the business, they need a place to do the business, right? It could be office, it could be shop, it could be industrial property, it could be even like a petrol station, childcare, like a specialized property if you want to run a petrol station business or a childcare business, right? So the first thing that we need to understand is that their rented premise is you as a landlord, and you invest in that property and you get that rent. So their cost of paying the rent is your income in the form of rent. So the first thing, let's understand that commercial rent is plus GST. Means if you are registered for GST, whatever the rent is, then you'll get 10% more as the form of GST. As a business person, why I pay GST? Because I also collect GST. So my business, whatever business I am in, I collect GST from people or from other businesses, and I pay rent as plus GST. So in the form of doing that business. Right? So why it is important? Because if you collect GST, then almost always you will see that if you don't collect GST, then your expense would be more than with GST. Now, how does that work? Let's understand. Let's say if you put a property manager, that property manager expenses is plus GST, and you are also collecting rent, which is plus GST, because it is with that business or your investment, then the GST component of the property management that will offset against the rent GST that you are collecting. So that's how you will pay less, or you will get to keep more money in the form of rent than a gross rent, or that a rent which is without GST, which is residential property. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. Now let's look into this, the second point, which is a business works based on profit margins. Now, as a businessman, if I see that I am making money and I have a chance of making money, more money in the future from that place, from that premise, then I will tend to stay there. I would stick to be there, because why would I rock the boat? Why would I move out if I'm making money and I'll continue making more money? Then you need to understand that as a landlord, you need to keep a tab on what my tenant is doing, what business they are in, and whether they're making money or not. As long as they're making money, then you are happy. Then it's a good investment, because then you can see that they will continue staying there. They will be making, long-term investment. They will make more investment to make more money, and as a result, they will be stickier and stickier from that place. So the business principle is to make money, to have cash flow from the business, and the cost of doing the business is also the commercial property rent that as a businessman I need to pay to my landlord, which is you in that case, and you are getting the investment return. So if you understand that point, then your sole purpose whenever you are looking to buy a commercial property, that hey, my one parameter is that is my tenant making money? If the tenant is making money, and will the tenant make money in the future? If you can gauge these two and say that yes, they are making money, they will be making money, almost always they will continue staying in that place. No matter how strong is the lease, how weak is the lease, and how long they have been staying, and when did they move, and all sort of parameters, these two future parameters and the current parameter, which is that are they making money now or will they make money in the future? And if you understand, if you can see what business they are in, then for always you will see that I think 90 to 95% chances that that property will never be vacant. And that is the fundamental principle with commercial property. Understanding your tenant, understanding your tenant's business is going to make you a significant income and for a long period of time. Versus in residential property, this is not possible. You do not even know who is your tenant is. You do not even care what their business they are in. You don't even care how much money they are making, because those becomes irrelevant, because most of your residential tenants, they don't make enough money. They don't plan to stay long term. The only reason they are staying because they just can't afford somewhere else, or their income is not enough to buy their own, hence they are renting. This is just an example. Plus, there is no GST component in the rental return, which is why all the expenses that you need to pay, that GST component also will come from the rent, so the net rent remains significantly low. If you understood this point, then you would be agreeing with me that commercial property rent, commercial property income is way better than the residential property. I hope this point sticks from the business point of view. From the other side, understanding your tenant, and if you do understand about your tenant, then for sure you would be inclined to invest into commercial property, which is the what that we do. We buy commercial properties. We do not buy any residential properties, and we are against investing into residential property simply because it doesn't make money. It is just on paper. It is just kind of a speculation, and when you do the actual calculation, you will see that he's always losing money in residential property investing. I hope this videos gives you some sort of a clarity. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.